A workshop on early identification of autism and available resources took place on September the 25th, 2014 in Hanoi. The event was jointly organized by the Early Identification of Autism Project funded by the United States Embassy and Hanoi Family Medical Practice. In recent years, autism has become a source of serious concern among the public, especially when it comes to urban children. Autism is a neural development disorder characterized by difficulty in communicating and forming relationships with other people. According to statistics by the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, for every 88 children, one is diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder in the country. In Vietnam, statistics by the Central Pediatrics Hospital show that the number of children diagnosed with autism jumped 50 times between 2000 and 2007, with the number of autism treatment cases surged 33 times. Studies indicate that early intervention produces immense impacts on autism treatment. Autistic children at the age of between 18 and 36 months who are subject to early detection and intervention have a roughly 30% chance of becoming normal and being able to integrate into the community. For older children, the intervention is more difficult and time-consuming. At the workshop, Dr. Ali Atia Daphne, who specializes in pediatrics and children's autism, introduced typical cases, symptoms, and the treatment process for the disorder. In addition, the workshop presented an opportunity for parents of autistic children to share their practical stories with the community.
Hello, this is Shang Vietnam on VTC10 Net Việt. I'm here. So the topic of our program today is autism. That is a matter of deep concern among many parents here in Vietnam. And joining our program today, we have invited Dr. Ali Atia Daphne, pediatric doctor. So first of all, thank you very much, Dr. Ali, for joining our program today. So Dr. Ali, we can see that the number of autism detected in Vietnam is increasing over years. So can you tell us what are the reasons for this situation?
Well, I think first of all, people are more aware. And before, maybe hiding the children or waiting for things to get better, not putting to awareness, and the children are not getting the diagnosis. Other things are the extreme spectrum, the very severe cases that also involved with mental retardation. They will get only the diagnosis of mental retardation and not also on the spectrum of autism. And the high function autism, that in school you can see strange children without friends, very isolated but coping, learning, maybe even going to university. So these two extremes are not falling in under the umbrella of autism. But now we know them and we can diagnose them, and this is part of the reason that there is increase in the numbers. I'm sure if we will go now to universities or places that you have labs or IT people, maybe 30% of them that choose their route to be in isolation, working with the computer or working with the mouse, they are also on the autism spectrum. They are functioning because they are high function. But 30 years ago, nobody knew about that, nobody diagnosed. So I think this is part of the reason that now we have very high numbers. Nobody really knows, like I said in my lecture. But of course, probably there are also something connected to food, to exposure to flashing screens, but there is no one factor that can answer this question.
As far as I know, no reason for autism has been detected. So what is the importance of early identification of autism to avoid missing the golden period?
We know that every brain, the brain of a baby and the brain of a child is open, and it's like Play-Doh. Whatever you put inside, and it's super flexibility, and at the young age, new neurons can develop and new connections in the brain are still going on. Around the age of 5, 6, this process is not happening anymore. So even that a baby or a 1-year-old have a brain with a different development which is abnormal, by early intervention, means education and all the help of therapists, we can weird, like, doing different electricity in the brain to try to make the child less abnormal comparing to the society. So the early intervention, the early diagnosis and early intervention are very, very important. But with saying all of that, it's never too late to try and work. So never give up.
So the early identification and early intervention for autism is very important. So what are the measures to detect the autism among the children?
There is this, the stereotype things that I think parents or teachers who are concerned is very easy for professional eye to detect, even below the age of 1 year, that the child is not reacting to his name, not using gestures, pointing, not using vocal voice, even not the language, not sharing the enthusiasm if he succeeded to build a tower of cubes and call the parents to come and say bravo. He is playing isolated. Sometimes they are focusing on special interest that it's a little bit absurd, and cannot shift from game to game. So these things should raise a question mark whether the child is on the spectrum. Later on, when the child is usually the first thing that parents seeing around 16, 18 months, no language. This is usually the first parameter. But in a retrospect, we can see that there were hints before, like I'm saying, especially the eye contact, the non-verbal communication with the hands, with the eyes, understand expressions. These things, if we observe the first 6 to 12 months, we see there were already hints there.
The workshop on early identification of autism and available resources is part of a similarly named project funded by the United States Embassy in Vietnam. The project is initiated and implemented by a group of Vietnamese alumni under Fulbright scholarship program provided by the United States government. Over the past year, members of the project have organized 5 workshops in different Vietnamese localities to provide information on the illness for nursery teachers and parents. Recently, a workshop took place in Cầu Giấy district of Hanoi on July the 13th, 2014, with the participation of more than 200 people, including teachers from 41 nursery schools. In Hai Phong City, the Municipal Education Department has decided to connect the project with all of the local nursery schools. In addition to providing information on autism disorder, the project members have also conducted surveys and provided a list of autism treatment centers across the country for teachers and parents.
Giáo viên mầm non thì các trường mầm non là nhận con có thể là từ 18 tháng tuổi hoặc là sớm hơn cho đến dạy đến lúc 5 tuổi. Thì trong các quá trình mà các giáo viên làm việc cùng với con, số lượng trẻ các cô làm việc rất là đông. Nếu như các cô nhận biết được các cái dấu hiệu đó thì các cô có thể làm cái sàng lọc trẻ tự kỷ, đồng thời giới thiệu và tư vấn cho phụ huynh tới những cái trung tâm để hỗ trợ con sớm nhất ở mức có thể. Thì đó là ở cái mức phát hiện sớm. Phát hiện sớm dành cho bố mẹ đó là dành cho những phụ huynh có quan tâm và họ có nghi ngờ là con mình có những cái đặc điểm của rối loạn phổ tự kỷ.
In addition to the project, the United States Embassy in Vietnam has also supported other activities to help local autistic children. In 2011, the embassy announced financial assistance for a project to help autistic children have a better life. Part of the assistance is dedicated to integrated education for autistic children. In addition, the embassy has helped brought American autism experts to Vietnam to share their expertise and brought Vietnamese specialists to the United States to raise their capacity. It also connects autism organizations from both countries and supports volunteering activities by parents of autistic children in Vietnam.
Mình kết nối những cái tổ chức ở Việt Nam với tổ chức bên Mỹ về làm về tự kỷ. Thì ngoài ra thì mình có một số hoạt động tình nguyện, đó là mình làm một cái trang web chia sẻ những cái kinh nghiệm từ phát hiện sớm cho đến can thiệp sớm. Mình có làm một cái trang như vậy tên là nuôi con tự kỷ.info. Thì ban đầu thì mình được hỗ trợ tài chính rất là ít thôi của sự quán, nhưng sau đó thì mình chủ yếu là mình tình nguyện.
So, Dr. Oli, we can see that the cases of autism in Vietnam is increasing over years. So, what is your assessment about the Vietnamese parents' awareness toward their children's autism?
Well, I'm only in Hanoi, but I must say that usually the parents that come for advice from me are coming in very early age, before the age of 2, and most of them this is their second child, so they have a healthy, normal child at home to compare, so they know what to expect from a normal development, and they can compare. But I have not few families that the mothers are very much aware and they are not shy, and they are coming and telling, my child is not talking. Mainly it's not talking or not looking me in the eyes. And comparing to other countries, I think the awareness, at least in Hanoi, is very high. So I'm very impressed. And also the way they react after they get the diagnosis, immediately want to find a solution. Not taking time to accept and, working, what's going on, what did the doctor is saying that. Okay, the doctor said we are moving, we are acting, which is very unusual to see, and I'm very happy that this is the way, at least the parents that I'm meeting are reacting.
So what about the response of Vietnam toward autism?
Well, in general, I think we need to do more. Me as a doctor, and also all the pediatricians and the teachers, because it looks like maybe the parents are aware, but afterwards they don't know what to do and where to approach, and if there are good centers, because some parents want to put their children in a normal school, and they believe that the child will copy normal behavior, but most of the time it's not the case. The child needs a one-on-one intervention with special teachers who understand his problem, and later on in the future, when he reach skills of communication, skills of social interventions, then he can go to a normal. This is the target for all the children, to can reach the age of 6, age of 7, going to a normal school. So in this, I think we still have a lot of work. It's mainly the education system that we need to encourage, to build more centers, to have more professionals, speech therapists, occupational therapists, art therapists, music therapists, all focusing in the communicational problem.
And finally, what is your message for those parents whose children are suffering from autism?
First of all, it's, this condition, even with children with high function, is, I don't want to be not optimistic, but it will never go away. But the target is that the child will be independent, will have 1 or 2 friends, you don't need 10 friends, and will cope in life and can learn and support himself in the future. So, a lot of work at home, and the work is never finished, but the time that you spend with him when he's young, he will reward of that in the future. So never give up, and I'm sure also in Vietnam things will develop very quick, like other fields that are developing, and we'll have more means to help these children.
And once again, thank you very much, Dr. Oli, for joining our program today and for your meaningful sharing.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And that's it we have for today's program. And for comment and feedback, don't hesitate to write to us at shangvietnam@vtc.vn. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye for now.